Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu-alaikum. Ji ayanu, pakhair ni hao, chunashumme, washmale. Ohaya gonzaimas, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal? Hale shumachatore, ahlan wa sahlan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, wabi, balli kare aaya. Hosh galdin and I hosayo, and thank you very much everybody for tuning into PTV World. You're certainly watching World this morning alongside my very well-learned colleague who happens to be Ms. Hajar Sati. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. But first things first, hello Hajar, how are you doing on a very rainy morning over here in Islamabad?
Thank you so much for introducing me, and as always, you're very kind, when introducing me. So, Shahzad, it's super raining today, and I think we are feeling the effects of the climate change. So, usually it takes me, 40 to 50 minutes to commute to the work, but today it took me double. So, as a result, I was really, panicking. So what if I am late? And speaking of weather, so I think, we will quickly move to our news segment because we really want to give you weather updates. And Pakistan Met Department has predicted a new spell of torrential rains and a vigorous monsoon activity in the country till August 18 and warned of flooding in several areas of Balochistan, Punjab and Sindh, including Karachi during the forecast period. In a weather advisory, Met Office informed that a depression has developed in the Arabian Sea, which is likely to move towards west along the Makran coast. Due to this weather system, monsoon currents are continuously penetrating in the southern parts of the country, and under the influence of this weather system, rain thunder shower with heavy falls is expected in Sindh, Balochistan, Punjab, Islamabad, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Gilgit-Baltistan and Kashmir. According to the report, the heavy rains may generate urban flooding. So, of course, we have experienced the urban flooding while coming here to the work. And I think we want to caution everyone that be careful, while planning your commutes. And I think you need to give some sort of, time bracket while coming to your work or planning whatever activities you have. And we also know that, genetically, we are not very punctual nation when it comes to that, right, Shahzad?
Genetically. Yeah,
right.
That's true. But, I think it's really funny to see how people, behave so differently when it's raining. And it's because of the fact that, imagine, so I met my other producer whose name is Arsalan. He was carrying a yellow, smaller umbrella. And I was like, what happened to you? Why are you carrying this umbrella? So he was like, that was the only one we had. And it's my 3-year-old son's umbrella. And I was like, wow, that's good too as well. But for everybody who's out there, please make sure, as Hajar said, that you leave before time if you are to actually go somewhere. Otherwise, if you're planning to go outside with your family, let the rain calm down a little bit, and then please make sure that you go ahead too as well. Because with urban flooding, we do see a lot of people getting through a lot of inconvenience because the cars don't work. If the water actually goes into your silencer, the cars won't really work too as well. So please make sure that you stay safe, you stay humble, and that you enjoy the weather.
And one more thing to share, Shahzad. So there are a lot of torrential rains in the southern part of Pakistan, which is something new when it comes to the climate change. And Quetta is totally cut off because of these flooding. So whatever in your capacity, please do help out the flood-affected victims. So now quickly moving on to the second news. Shahzad, you want to do that?
Exactly, why not? Because speaking about the Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm in love with my Prime Minister. He's the most efficient gentleman I've ever seen, waking up early in the morning, making sure that, at every diplomatic front, Pakistan is being represented too as well. So without any further ado, let's see what he's been up to as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif Saab says Pakistan is willing to play a positive role to bridge the US-China differences in the interest of peace and stability in the world. In a wide-ranging interview with Newsweek, he said Pakistan has traditionally maintained good relations with both countries, and historically, it was Pakistan that acted as a bridge in opening a relationship between them. The Prime Minister said Pakistan continues to highlight the need for avoidance of a confrontational approach. Wow. And that's something which we like. Even as Muslims, I think that's what our approach really needs to be as well. So, PM Saab, we are literally proud of you, making sure that on every diplomatic front, you're going to represent Pakistan and bring good name to it. Wonderfully well.
Right. And now moving on to our third segment of the news, which is about the Hemophilia Welfare Society, conducted an awareness session in collaboration with the Social Welfare Department. In this session, Hemophilia Welfare Society advocated for the patients and asked the SWD, which is Social Welfare Department, to provide disability certificates to their patients and also help them with availing educational scholarships. This awareness session was also about the dengue awareness And the Raja Imran, who happens to be Social Welfare Officer of the SWD, interacted with the audience and informed them about the precautionary measures they should take at the offices and homes. I think that's a really amazing activity, informing people about there, because we really need when it comes to the awareness sessions.
And I believe that, when we talk about such awareness sessions, it's really important that for all of those people attending those awareness sessions should really have such sort of a personality or a character that they could actually have an impact on the rest of the people too as well. This is something which is very important, because if somebody is over there, attending an awareness session, it's good for him individually, but it's not going to impact a larger audience too as well. So for all of those people arranging these awareness campaigns, please make sure that all of those attendees are the people who are going to have a larger impact afterwards too as well. Now coming back to my favorite part, where I certainly do not need to look at the paper too as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan went to Netherlands for 3 one-day internationals. Speaking about which, Pakistan was actually able to succeed in the first one as well, where they win with 16 runs lead to as well. And Pakistan batting first, while when they won the toss, they made sure they're going to bat first as well. Scored 314, which looked a tough total for Netherlands. But the good news was for Salman Ali Agha and Naseem Shah, who actually made their one-day internationals debuts too as well. Fakhar Zaman, bravo, you made a century, 109 of 109 deliveries too as well. Babar Azam, 74. Shadab 48, and moving on, I think what we really need to focus over here is on Rizwan's form, and it's because of the fact that in ODI Rizwan's form has been off color too as well. There are going to be 2 more one-day internationals, one taking place on the 18th and the last one on the 21st as well, and then afterwards we will certainly look forward to the Asia Cup, which will be taking place. And yes, Pakistan might be facing India thrice within the Asia Cup as well, which is why we are very excited and we cannot keep calm. But congratulations, Team Babar Azam. Congratulations, Team Pakistan. You guys have done a wonderful job. But yes, when we actually speak about Netherlands, which is a team on number 15 in ODI ranking, in competition with number 5 team in the ODI ranking, even then it looked like as if there was, towards the end of the 45th over, it looked like as if Pakistan's going to lose it. Because Pakistan is, it's in our genes too as well. We certainly played the way the others play too as well, so it does not really matter how good we are or how bad we are. But yes, that's it for now. But now I think it's about time that we really need to congratulate a few kids who, all of them, for all of these kids, we are going to say happy birthday to people. The best part is that all of them are turning 6. So congratulations to their parents that they really kind of did something amazing. All your kids turning 6. I think that's wonderful. Obviously, you need to have twins, triplets, quadruples, and that's something which has been happening. So first of all, Fahad Shabazz Bhutta Saab's daughter, ladies and gentlemen, Nooran, and Hurran is actually turning 6. So congratulations, happy Hatch Day to Nooran and Hurran. Wow.
Wonderful. They remind me somewhat of your daughter, because they're very cute when it comes to that.
I know.
Shabana.
Thank you.
See, somehow she looks like Shabana, right?
True. I think all the kids look the same too as well.
Yes, they're very innocent, they're very sweet, and they're very cute. So, happy birthday to both of these young ladies. And we wish that, may future brings best for them, right?
Yeah, and the best part over here is that their parents actually happen to be, very social. When we talk about Islamabad, they are the people who you would always see, dining out with our producers or somebody else's team too as well. So they're great people, always full of support and prayers too as well. So Nooran, Hurran, make sure that you make your parents proud, because they definitely make us proud too as well every single time they're here, or whichever capacity they're working in as well. Now moving on to another one, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to wish Muhammad Qasim Junaid a very happy Hatch Day too as well. Oh my God, look at him, mashallah. He's going to turn 6 now. Muhammad Qasim Junaid, very happy birthday. You want to sing the song?
Okay, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear
Qasim. Happy birthday to you. I've never had an encounter with his father, but looking at his Tayabu, I think he's going to be a great soul, right?
Right. Definitely.
So yes, Muhammad Qasim Junaid and Nooran Hurran, congratulations to you. These are the kids who will be the future of Pakistan, who will be the holders of the Pakistani flag. They will be these will be the hands who will be hosting the flags too as well in near future. And when we talk about 75 years of independence, I really believe that we need to put an effort towards making sure that our future generations are going to be better than us, more
That's
wiser
true.
than us, more intelligent than us, and then more kind
And then
than
they're
us.
more apt at dealing with the very fastly changing digitalized world when it comes to that. And of course, Pakistan is our pride. We always say that, we are so proud of our country, the way it has come along a lot. And when it comes to that, so, definitely we are talking about the education, and it is something, if we invest in it, if we, make sure that, it's very vigorous and it's all dynamic when it comes to dealing with the digitalized world. We are investing in our, future generation. We are investing in the young kids when it comes to that, and definitely it's going to pay off, especially when it comes to the future, right?
Exactly. And very quickly, there's one more thing which I wanted to say over here, and that is that these days a lot of virals are actually taking place. I'm very sorry that I'm going off guard as well, and it's because of the fact that I just wanted to give this message that if you think that your throat's not fine or you have a little bit of temperature, number one, stay back at home.
Right.
Number two, wear a mask. Number three, don't shake hands with anyone. Please, that's very important. Which is why today I did my own makeup.
Okay.
I never gave anybody a chance that, God forbid, I'm going to fall sick too as well. But yes, obviously, it's Allah willing, if you are to fall sick, you will fall sick. But please make sure that you take all these precaution measures as well. So if you think I'm looking a little off color today, it's because I did my own makeup. But now coming back to where Hajra was saying that, we really need to kind of invest in them, and they are obviously picking up on the digital arena better than us too as well. So I go back in time when it was Nokia with polyphonic ringtones, where how my father used to call me and be like, beta, ye meri ringtone to set kar do. And from there, they used to think that we were clever. But now when I see my daughter, who's just 2 years old, operating the iPad as if it's not a problem, I'm like, okay, they're smarter than us. Why not?
Right. So, the previous paradigm into the education was the knowledge-based learning, which is becoming obsolete.
I disagree.
No?
I disagree.
Okay, no. Which is why, because, it was teacher-focused pedagogy and it not incorporate the critical thinking skills when it comes to that. But now the new approach which is gaining traction is the skill-based approach, in which they're focusing on acquiring the skills, which is direly needed, to, incorporate when it comes to the digitalized world. So to talk about more on this topic, we have wonderful guests in the studio, and we have an educationist, who happens to be Miss Sabahat Khan Tatari. She is educationist. She's also working with the city school, and I think she has groomed wonderfully young kids. So assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
And she happens to be the director North Region too as well for the city school. So wonderful to have you, ma'am, over here. But we're going to introduce your amazing students and the future generations of Pakistan too as well, because these are the flag bearers, ladies and gentlemen, of something which we are calling self-directed learning. It's a very different concept. We want to learn about it too as well. And if we can learn, I think we will be amongst them too as well. So without any further ado, we're very lucky that we've been joined by somebody who happens to be the student of O-Level Grade 11. She is Miss Sherbano Ali. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. It's our pleasure to have you over here alongside Miss Sherbano. We're lucky that we've been joined by once again the O-Level Grade 11. So O-Level Grade 11 is common, okay? So I'm just going to say the names too as well. And she actually happens to be Miss Ariba Fatima Farooq. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum assalam. Good morning. I'm very glad to be here.
Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. What a wonderful speaker you already look. Wow. And towards the end, we're very lucky that we have been joined by Miss Rida Sakina. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. But ma'am, first things first, we're going to get started with you. So please make our audiences aware in 46 different countries, because we go out in 46 different countries, what is self-directed learning? It looks like as if it's an inner calling to learn.
Well, or maybe it's something, the different from the home-based school learning.
Yeah, I would say all learners have the capacity to learn. That's the first thing we need to understand and need to believe on.
Hence we call them learners.
That's why we call them learners. Now our children, our younger generation, need to be just steered properly from their early years.
Okay.
That's how it is. And it's the parents' confidence, it's the teachers' training. So it's a three-way sort of a conference all the time, which is required. The proper triangulation between parent, teacher, and of course the child herself or himself. That's how it is. So once you are providing them some sort of scenarios, some sort of engagements, some cues where they can really work on their own and prove their skills, and you can then identify what is their actual aptitude.
Okay, yeah.
Gone are the days when my grandparents or my parents used to say, all right, you're going to do science and you'll become a doctor.
Right.
So because you're intelligent. So that's the criteria for that. So which means that if I'm intelligent, I can only go into medicine. But now, mashallah, mashallah, there are so many disciplines. There are so many avenues for these wonderful learners, I would
All right,
say.
so which is why, I think what we should do is that we should actually ask them what self-directed learning is, how it's going to be beneficial, whether it's good for them or not. So, Sharbana, let's start from you.
I personally feel like self-directed learning is kind of, if you want to call it, a power food for your brain, since to have self-directed learning, it basically boosts your confidence, which at the city school, they give us a voice to speak, they give us an environment where we can openly talk about it. They also give us, a chance to a student and teacher, one-to-one, because when you're not everyone is academically strong. I think every one of us needs.
No, he's very strong. He was a scholarship holder.
Mashallah.
Every one of us needs, a little help there and then. And the city school provides us with that. They're like, we're open to, whenever you need us. They help us plan our goals according to that. And that's how because of them, that's how I got to choose my subjects, bio and computer.
And that's what I wanted to ask, so how did you actually venture into bio and computer, and how do you think that they helped you because you were a part of these self-directed learning procedures?
That's a good question.
Thank you. I'm known for that.
Basically, I listed down the pros and cons of both of the subjects.
Yourself?
What I hate in bio, what I like in bio, what I hate in bio, what I like in bio. Sorry, computer. So basically, at the end, I remember my class teacher telling me, stop being so indecisive and act like a critical thinker, and then you will come to a conclusion. And that's what I did. And now I'm a bio student.
And who did you ask for advice while you were writing all the pros and cons for bio and computer? Was there somebody else alongside you who was helping you?
Yes, my mother and my father.
Yeah, hence you chose bio, right?
Yes, I did.
I think we need to come back to that, because if I am to ask my mother whether to be an engineer or computer science, she'd be like, engineering, I think this is good. And parents these days have a very smarter way of going around things too as well. We'll come back to this because you yourself are a critical thinking because of the self-directed learning process too as well. But what about you, Bete?
Yes, for me, I'd say self-directed learning, if I were to refer it to as a phenomena, it would be definitely learning, memorization, or knowledge all require any source. But that being said, they do require guidance as well. And that has been excellently provided by the city school. However, that given the individual needs to put in some effort too. So the only difference in memorization and learning and self-directed learning would be that the effort which is put in by the individual is at a greater extent. With that being said, the guidance from the teachers and the institution is still there, and therefore it how it differs from the homeschooling concept.
Right.
Coming back to how I chose my subjects, that would be with the help of my
Which subjects first of all?
Computer sciences.
All right, wonderful.
Yes, as you said, the digitally advancing world.
Right.
So that would be definitely with the help of my school counselor, which really helped me. As you might have heard, the subject selection, and however we recently talked about kis field ka kitna scope hai, that word scope. So it's really important to analyze the potential and the scope of every field and each and every field before you pursue it, because you don't want to study 4 years, 8 years, do masters, bachelors, and then end up
Not doing
unemployed.
anything.
So
Yeah, what about you, Rida Sakina, please?
Well, I think that self-directed learning for me means that we get an opportunity to kind of be curious about the things that we like, and also we kind of learn about things on our own with the guidance of teachers, of course, as said by Reba just now. And I think that self-directed learning is a process which every human goes through in every stage of their life, because to be very honest, if I were to say that in the older times people didn't really maybe people weren't aware with this concept, self-directed learning, or this.
But they were still going through
exactly, they were still going through it, because life is a process of learning, right? And it's all about learning through experiences, bad times, good times, and I think that is all upon you. And I think that with the guidance of the teachers at the city school, I believe that every citizen goes through the self-directed learning process, and we prosper because we are thinking objectively and we're kind of we're not afraid to kind of pursue what we like, right?
Yeah.
So I think that coming back to how I chose my subjects, I chose biology, by the way, and it was.
How many
first-
subjects do you have, you know, to choose from?
We only have like 2 to choose from.
What's
It's
the
like
point? Why are we even having this discussion?
I know, right?
You know, either it's computers or either it's bio. So then
Of course,
what's the point?
that is what our society has kind of
Yeah, see,
narrowed down to, right? It's
yeah.
either
And
computer
we don't want
sciences.
it. We want to learn about everything.
Exactly, we want to
not
learn
just
about
bio and
many
computer.
things. Maybe if a certain person is curious about like psychology, maybe. Yeah, exactly. So I chose biology because I've always been really passionate about being a surgeon and being kind of becoming an
And you
army
even
surgeon.
look like a surgeon already, let me tell you.
Oh,
that.
thank you. Thank you so much. So, yeah, I didn't really need to list the pros and cons because I was I had this thing in my mind that I was really focused on becoming a surgeon. And my mother always told me that you can choose whatever you want to. And I think that I'd like to give a heads up to her because it's literally a lot of parents in our country, they're like, if you're a girl, you're going to choose bio. If you're a boy, of course, engineer.
Yeah.
But
And we're going to come back to this, but
Right.
we really need to head out towards a
Sure.
short break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Here.
Good morning.
से उससे ज़्यादा खर्च करते हैं तो डिस सेविंग होती है, हमें कहीं और से पैसे चाहिए। अब वो पैसे कहीं और से कहाँ से आते हैं? वो प्राइवेट सेक्टर से ले सकते हैं आप, बशर्ते कि प्राइवेट सेक्टर के पास एक्सेस सेविंग्स हों। लेकिन पाकिस्तान में प्राइवेट सेक्टर के पास इतनी सेविंग्स नहीं होती, जो सेविंग्स होती हैं उतनी इन्वेस्टमेंट्स होती हैं, बल्कि एक्चुअली सेविंग्स का रेशो थोड़ा सा कम है, सेविंग्स इन्वेस्टमेंट का रेशो ज़्यादा है। तो प्राइवेट सेक्टर के पास भी इतने पैसे नहीं हैं कि वो हुकूमत को फ़ंड कर सके। मिसाल के तौर पर इस साल 4000 अरब रुपए का डेफिसिट होगा। पिछले साल 5200 अरब रुपए का डेफिसिट हुआ है, और 4000 अरब रुपए का डेफिसिट करना यानी कि इतना कम करना ये बड़ा मुश्किल हो रहा है हमारे लिए। लेकिन पिछले साल जो है वो 5200 अरब रुपए का डेफिसिट हुआ है। पिछले 4 सालों में तकरीबन 3500 अरब रुपए का डेफिसिट था। उससे पहले हमारे 5 सालों में 1600 अरब रुपए का डेफिसिट था सालाना। पीपल्स पार्टी के 5 सालों में उससे भी कम था। तो डेफिसिट भी बतदरीज बढ़ता रहा है। इन 4 सालों में तो डबल से ज़्यादा हो गया। और इस साल जो है वो हमारी कोशिश है कि 4000 अरब रुपए का डेफिसिट होगा। अब 4000 अरब रुपए प्राइवेट सेक्टर के पास नहीं है, तो 4000 अरब रुपए कहाँ से आएंगे? तो 4000 अरब रुपए आप दीगर ममालिक से बोरो करते हैं, फॉरेनर से बोरो करते हैं। और फॉरेनर से किस तरह बोरो करते हैं? उनकी जो इंपोर्ट माइनस एक्सपोर्ट जो है, यानी कि हमारी एक्सपोर्ट और उनकी इंपोर्ट, उसके डिफरेंस जो है ना, वो फॉरेनर्स अपनी सेविंग्स यहाँ पे भेज रहे हैं। मिसाल के तौर पे आप समझ लीजिए कि चाइना ने एक पावर प्लांट इधर लगा के दिया कोल का, जैसे कि पोर्ट कासिम पे लगा दिया या साहिवाल पे लगा दिया। हमने उसके पैसे नहीं दिए, उन्होंने सेविंग्स थी, उन्होंने सेविंग्स से अपने एक प्लांट ख़रीदा और पाकिस्तान में लगा दिया। उनके लिए वो इन्वेस्टमेंट हो गया, हमारे लिए एक लोन हो गया। तो वो जो लोन था वो बेसिकली जो है वो फॉरेनर्स अपनी सेविंग्स हमको भेज रहे हैं। अब ग्रोइंग कंट्री के अंदर थोड़ी फॉरेनर्स अगर सेविंग्स यहाँ पे भेजें तो वो अच्छा है। हर ग्रोइंग कंट्री को 1-1.5% ऑफ GDP अगर वो करता है, करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट करता है, तो कोई हर्ज नहीं है। लेकिन देखना ये कि उस पैसों का आप क्या करते हैं। अगर एक कंपनी जो है वो पैसे बोरो करती है और वो पैसे बोरो कर उसमें से वो सनद लगा देती है, तो बड़ी अच्छी बात है, उससे सनद से वो पैदावार बढ़ाएगी और फिर आगे बढ़ेगी। लेकिन अगर एक कंपनी जो है वो पैसे बोरो करती है और सिर्फ मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर की ऑफिस को खूबसूरत कर देती है, तो उसके अंदर आशाइश की चीज़ें डाल देती है, तो उससे तो कोई प्रोडक्टिविटी तो नहीं बढ़ेगी, प्रोडक्शन तो नहीं बढ़ेगी। तो पाकिस्तान में ये हुआ है कि हमने एक्चुअली दुनिया से बोरो ज़रूर किया है, लेकिन उसको प्रोडक्टिव यूज़ में नहीं डाला है। और बोरो इसलिए करना पड़ रहा है कि पहले बजट डेफिसिट करते हो तो करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट होना ज़रूरी है। ये बेसिक इकोनॉमिक इक्वेशन है। अनलेस के बिहेवियर चेंज हो जाए लोगों का और सेविंग्स बढ़ जाएँ। अब ये जब भी आप करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट करेंगे तो आपका बजट डेफिसिट करेंगे तो करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट ज़रूर होगा, और उसके माँ सिवाय के बिहेवियर चेंज हो जाए, उसके बाद आपको या तो आप प्रोडक्टिव उसमें करें, जो हम नहीं करते। अब मिसाल आपको मैं देता हूँ और सबको मैं अक्सर देता हूँ कि 2013 سے 2018 کے درمیان مسلم لیگ نے اللہ کی مہربانی سے 11,500 میگا واٹ بجلی لگا کے چلا دی. جس دن 2013 میں ہماری حکومت آئی تھی 12,500 میگا واٹ سے زیادہ پاور نہیں بنتا تھا. اب 25,000 میگا واٹ پاکستان پاور بنا سکتا ہے, 25,000 میگا واٹ. سو ڈبل کر دی ہم نے پروڈکشن, رائٹ, بجلی کی. کیا پاکستان میں انڈسٹریل پروڈکشن ڈبل ہوئی؟ کیا پاکستان میں ایکسپورٹ ڈبل ہوئی؟ 2011 کے اندر پاکستان کی ایکسپورٹ $25 بلین تھی. پچھلے سال 31 بلین پہ پہنچے ہیں. 25 سے 31 10 سال کا سفر لگا, یا 11 سال کا سفر لگا 25 سے 31 پہنچنے میں. دنیا اس دنیا میں کہاں پہنچ گئی ہے. اور اس میں بھی اگر میں پرائس افیکٹ نکال لوں تو کوانٹٹی کم ہو گئی ہے. وہ بھی یہ کہ کاٹن کی پرائس مثال کے طور پہ 6,000 سے 18,000 روپے چلے گی تو بہت سارا آپ کا ٹیکسٹائل کا ایکسپورٹ زیادہ لگنے لگا. تو ہم نے کدھر ایکسپورٹ کیا؟ تو دو چیزیں کہ لیو ود ان یور مینس کہ بھائی یا ٹیکس بڑھا لو, اور اگر ٹیکس نہیں بڑھا سکتے تو اخراجات کم کر لو. میں نے ایک بیان اس دن دیا, بڑے اخباروں میں آیا, بڑا ریڈیکل بیان نکلا. وہ بیان کیا تو اتنا صرف کہا ہے کہ جو ہمارا بجٹ تھا جتنا ایکسٹرا خرچہ کر رہے ہیں, کسی کو سپلیمنٹری گرانٹ دے رہے ہیں تو اتنا ٹیکس جمع کر لیں گے. لیکن اگر کسی کو ہم 30 ارب روپے اچانک پی ایس اے کو دے دیتے ہیں تو 30 ارب روپے کا میں ڈیفیسٹ نہیں بڑھاؤں گا, 30 ارب روپے اپنے بچوں کے اوپر ذمہ داری نہیں ڈالوں گا, اپنے آپ کے اوپر ذمہ داری ڈالوں گا. یہ تو بڑا آسان ہے نا کہ میں دے دوں یار کہ ڈیفیسٹ کر دو, بچے دے دیں گے کہ آر فیوچر جنریشن ول پے. آلریڈی 50,000 ارب روپیہ تو دے دیا آپ نے فیوچر جنریشنس کو پے کرنے کے لیے. ان کو تعلیم تو دی نہیں ہے آپ نے, لیکن 50,000 ارب روپے کا اس کو آپ نے قرض دے دیا. سو پہلی چیز جو ہے وہ وی ہیو ٹو لیو ود ان آور مینس. اور یہ کہاں سے, اور جو بھی لوگ بات کرتے ہیں آزادی کی, تو بھائی آزادی کو اس سے بھی منسلک کر دینا کہ اگر بار بار لوگوں سے پیسے جا کے مانگنا ہے بڑی مشکل ہوتی ہے. میں آپ کو بتاؤں, میں بڑا شرمندہ ہوتا ہوں جب مجھے سارے ایمبیسڈر سے یہ باتیں کرنی ہوتی ہیں. اس کو آپ پیکیج بول لیں, فائنینسنگ بول لیں, بہت ساری چیزیں انگریزی کے اچھے اچھے ورڈز بول لیں, لیکن کرتے تو یہی ہے نا کہ آپ مطلب جہاں سے جا رہے ہیں. کل میں بات کر رہا تھا کہ کوئی ٹی وی کے شو پہ تھا, پریس کانفرنس میں, تو انہوں نے کہا پرائم منسٹر قطر جا رہے ہیں, وہ کیا دیں گے؟
Welcome back, and I really want to engage our teacher here, Miss Sabahat Khan Tatari, because I really wanted to ask the concept of philosophizing the philosophy of Pakistan and the Iqbaliyat, which is very much inherent in our somehow in the national or genetic national genes, but we do not exactly go towards there, because Iqbal's poem or the philosophy is just there in the last 2-3 poems of the Urdu subject, and we do not give enough focus to it. But if you read Iqbal out of there, you will see that he gave an entire concept of the living, of how to recuperate and how to live in a modernized world when it comes to that. So it's the 75th anniversary of Pakistan, and I really wanted to ask Ms. Sabahat, so what do you think about this concept? Why our education curriculum is not focusing enough on the Iqbaliyat, and are you guys doing something about it?
Certainly, of course, we are expected to, and we should.
Right.
It's not only out of patriotism, it is something which is giving, as you have already said,
right,
it's giving a complete framework, complete structure
right,
of how to enhance the life skills. And if you talk about Iqbaliyat, not to go to Shikwa Jawab Shikwa or something, I'll just talk about Pahad or Guleri.
Right.
Bahut acha message hai.
Right.
It's a simple, it's Hamdardi.
Right.
I mean, these are the poems which I have also studied, and when I remember that was a typical tashri, I mean, that used to be given to us. But now when when we talk about self-directed learning, I think so there's a very strong message which goes with, I mean, these beautiful poems.
Right.
These are small, crisp, to the point,
right,
giving a very strong message that how any living being, and rather all the living beings are interconnected, and they are extremely interdependent on each other. Love for plants, love for animals, love for being a human, and be thankful to Allah for that. So that's the message that has been given and by all the poetry of Iqbal, and of course and further being taken by Jinnah. And I hope that our young leaders, and there's a day I'm dreaming of when politics will be considered something very respectable, something which of course can be considered our learners.
I hope we get to see that day in our life, right?
Inshallah.
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 But in
In your life, Shahzad, you're a young boy. Of course, you will be able to.
But inshallah, you know, we certainly hope to do that as well. And you know, when we, for example, you know, ever since we've joined PT World, I think, you know, most of the time what people tell us is that, you know, it's so good to see young people, you know, spearheading, you know, a public institution, which I believe is great. But very quickly, you know, I want to move on to you guys where, you know, when we talk about critical thinking, it is having the same solution in 100 different conditions too as well. But critical thinking, to think better about your motherland and to be at a greater scale, to think macrophily as well. How do you guys incorporate that, you know, because the intent is there now, you know, of self-learning, you know, our parents not running after you guys to go, hey, yaar, beta pad lo, please, yaar, bade hoke kya karoge? You know, so that same dialogue, it has been transcending through generations, ye chaprasi lag jaoge, pata nahi kya. And, you know, things have changed, you know, I think a 13-year-old boy is actually earning more than his father or mother these days as well. So when we think on a very macro scale, about the mankind, about our motherland, about coexisting, about humility, modesty. What do you guys have to say? Your words.
About critical thinking.
Yes.
I personally feel like critical thinking is really important to, you know, make sustainable solutions. And for that, you need to listen to unconventional opinions from others. I mean, you cannot just listen to yourself. It's just one point of view. We need to listen to others to have a better point of view, a broader perspective of things. And second, I think knowledge is a huge part. I mean, the more evidence you gather, the more you study, the more knowledge you have, the more evidence you're going to gather, and the more better solution you're going to make. You're going to replace new solutions. You're going to make new solutions from old problems. And I think that's something we really need right now, considering the current issues.
And that's a great answer, which is why I'm moving on to you now. So what I really want you to answer is, how do you think that your school incorporates the values of research and development?
Okay. So referring back to the critical thinking of how it's the difference of memorization and learning, the midpoint is critical thinking. And now moving on to the values that have been inculcated by the city school and to us as citizens, there are numerous ways that they have been, whether it be the education value-based program with 12 core values, whether it be honesty, humility, happiness, and they have been time and again revised within us through as the Independence Day passed by, and you were also talking about how we should stay true to our country as well. And I remember a few days ago or yesterday, we celebrated the Independence Day at our school, waving flags here, there, raising patriotism high. So I feel like it's activities like these that matter a lot, and moreover the unconventional efforts by our teachers and heads that really infuse these values and morals into us.
Wow, wonderful. So very quickly towards the end, I want you to talk to our audiences in 46 different countries and tell them why this learning system is better than any other.
The learning system of the city school. All right. So I believe that the learning system of the city school is way better because our teachers, they give us case studies, and for each and every subject every day, and we go through them, and we need to be curious about them. We ask questions, we give voices to the questions that are rising in our head, and then the teachers help us push through the questions. But we find the answers ourselves after analyzing all the facts and figures. And I believe that, for instance, in subjects such as biology and computers, we always get case studies and we always find our answers our own way. Thank you.
All right, well, that's wonderful. Thank you very much for being with us, and thank you very much for showing us a newer pathway of learning, and that to have this very own intent from within your own self to learn. I think that's great. But with that, we're actually heading on towards a short break. When you guys will come back, these people, after all of these learning process, will become to make sure that there are no social injustices existing within the society. They will raise their voices. How? Only if they're very well aware about the legal systems over here in the country. And to do so, we have another amazing guest in the next segment. Who is that?
Right, we will, I think, tell you when we come back.
All right, let's do this. Good morning. All right, people, thank you very much for staying with PD World. You're certainly watching World this morning. Alongside Shahzad Khan. With me, I have Ms. Hajar Satti. And today to speak about the importance of a legal expert to actually kind of make sure that, there's no social injustices within the society. It's really important for us to kind of have such a friend or an expert to know so that he can teach us that, these are our rights. So we're very lucky that we've been joined by Mr. Saad Satti. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. And thank you, Haja, for inviting such a vibrant, amazing gentleman over here on the show too as well. So let's get started. We want you to speak. So how important it is to actually know or have somebody in your context who happens to be a legal expert so that you can stand against your social injustices?
Well, in a country like Pakistan, I think it's very important where it's imperative that, the social injustices are eradicated in the society. And because, the rights of people are enshrined in the Constitution of Pakistan. So the Constitution of Pakistan itself is basically like a social contract between a citizen and the state. So once those rights are protected, the social injustice eradicates. So it's very important to have a friend, somebody in the family who's a lawyer to be able to ensure that those rights are being protected.
But no matter what happens, even if we have such a friend, that's the same friend who's telling us, if you're going to go pursue this very case too as well, it's going to cost you quite a lot and we're never sure that whether you're going to win. And that too, when even somebody is kind of going against that social contract we have with the state.
Definitely, I agree with you. But I think there's a stigma attached to the judicial system of Pakistan, even though the courts are operational. And the courts give that sense of protection to a normal citizen that all these rights that are enshrined in the Constitution of Pakistan will be protected. So it gives that sense of assurity, and a citizen will not have any redressal mechanism. This is, when a child cries when he's small, he goes to his mother. When that same child grows up, he has, the courts and the judicial system at his disposal. So if that mechanism is vanished and it finishes off, then that sense of assurity, that sense of protection automatically vanishes.
I think that's great that you've made us understand that too as well. But other than stigma, I think there's an irony that our judicial system is ranked at 139th number too as well. So how do you think that we're going to trust the system which is already at 139?
I think we're making progress. The judicial system of Pakistan is very nascent and very novel in that way. In that evolutionary process, we've lagged behind for a lot of reasons. But I think we're heading in the right direction with the ADR mechanisms coming into play. We have the ADR Act 2017, which is applicable to the jurisdiction of Islamabad, and hopefully that will be replicated in other provinces of Pakistan as well, inshallah. So, we're heading in the right direction. Then the judicial system is being funded by a lot of, NGOs as well, at the local level to ensure that the training mechanisms are in place. And, I think we're heading in the right direction. And there's a lot of, obviously, we need to eradicate that perception in the minds of the citizens. So I think we are making progress, and inshallah, hopefully, that ranking would soon be
improved when it comes to that.
Inshallah.
So, when it comes to the ADR, Shahzad, when I was doing my research, so I came across that, Pakistan's family courts are designed in a way that so a lot of, cases that are coming, for example, a woman comes in and say that, I'm not being enough listened to it. And, yesterday I was also listening to the Shahzad, and he also said that he's not being enough listened to it, hence the crisis of masculinity that we talked about it, right? And then, so Saad mentioned that, ADR centers have been established, with the support of the judiciary, with the support of the legal fraternity, and they're doing a wonderful job. And the sort of the environment that they're giving out is it's a sort of lounges, friendship centers, where litigants are offered the tea and the biscuits and where the processes are resolved. So if I really want to, go out and reach out to the ADR centers, what is my procedure?
So basically, as of now, Pakistan, an ADR center, like in its true sense, is only being implemented to the extent of family cases.
Okay.
So, for example, if there's a case regarding a dissolution of marriage, let's say, or a divorce case, in that manner, the Family Courts Act 1964 provides an ample mechanism in the light of Section 10 and Section 12 of the Act that there would be pre-trial negotiations and pre-trial proceedings before the trial actually starts. So basically a step has been created to avoid the court proceedings by creating that step through that act, the Family Courts Act 1964. So if you want to approach the ADR center, you obviously have to go through a process, which is the Family Courts Act 1964, and then if the judge thinks that your case may be negotiated out of court, then he may refer it to the ADR center. And accordingly as well, I mean, the family courts in Pakistan, I mean, they have a brilliant mechanism for ADR and out of court settlements, because they've created a 3-layer approach. So basically, when the case is brought before a judge under Section 10, pre-trial negotiations will start. If that does not work out, then the judge will pass his final decree. And before passing that final decree, another opportunity will be given to the same parties to resolve their matter amicably out of court. And even if that doesn't work out, another opportunity is given after the decree has been passed. The case is then forwarded to an ADR center, which is established in every union council, and the union council chairman is the head of that arbitration of those arbitration proceedings. So basically, it's a 3-layer approach, and the need of the hour is to replicate this brilliant mechanism in other fields as well. Let's say, for example, in civil cases and criminal cases. So I think that would be great if an initiative was taken to that extent.
Inshallah.
So I think that when it comes to the point of the mediation, it's always been there. So when we talk about the Islamic system, so Hazur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is known to mediate a lot of cases, and his words were the final authority when it comes to that. And it trickles down into our, I think, constitution too when it comes to that. So when I was doing my research work, so a lot of literature when it comes to the peace building, so a lot of people are encouraging it. And there was a very brilliant example in Sawat, where there is a jirga. It is led by the women, it's for the women, and it's of the women when it comes to that, so that they can very conveniently discuss their issues, their cases, that too in a very conservative environment, following their own tradition and customs. So coming back to it, Saad, what is the value of the jirga system in our constitution when it comes to that?
The jirga system is basically more like a tribal council in easier words. So a tribal council, basically the primary focus of that tribal council is the laws that have been developed over time. And those laws are not formal laws, but they're based on customs. So, I mean, the judicial system that we see nowadays is basically an offshoot of the same tribal councils that were once applicable, and they were going on. So, I mean, the importance of those tribal councils have depreciated over time, and the judicial organ of a state has increased, and its importance has increased. So, I think the tribal councils, I mean, they're doing a brilliant job. The only problem with the jirga system is that the Constitution of Pakistan, the principles enumerated in the Constitution of Pakistan, or let's suppose something that is against the law, only if consideration is given to that, then I think the jirga system, there's no better system than a jirga system, because there is legally, because a lot of people, I mean, the normal citizens, the general public has a lot of confidence in these jirga systems. Why? Because those customs that these jirgas are based upon have been implemented, they're being practiced by their own families, by their own grandfathers. So, I mean, it's a brilliant system, and I think
it's a very, a good tool when it comes to the speedy, dispensation of the justice, because we have heard the term justice delayed is justice denied when it comes to that, right?
And in addition to that, I think when we talk about jirga system, yes, I totally agree to that, but at times we do see biasness too as well. We really need to make sure whether
it's hijacked by the powerful elements against the vulnerable, right?
Which is why what I wanted to talk about over here very quickly towards the end, and that is that we really need to, when we talk about the prosperity of the country or the judicial system itself, we really need to endorse the best practices as well. When we come down to best practices, not just the judiciary, I think it's the advocates, the barristers, it's the entire ecosystem of the judicial system as well. Now, we have seen people, we've come across situations where the advocates or the people who actually file your case All right, I think we're short on time as well. I wanted to ask another question, but we're certainly out of time. But thank you very much, Saad, for being with us. Very well versed, very well rehearsed too as well.
Thank you
and
so
you
much.
remind me of that very gentleman in from the season Suits too as well, who joined in as well. So thank you very much for being with us. Lovely to have you over here. So for everybody who's out there, as you heard, we're short on time. Please make sure that you write to us on our pages as well. Till the next time, look out yourselves. It's raining outside. Have some pakoras, have some samosas. Enjoy yourself. 1, 2, 3. Good morning.